You're listening to Raising Anchor on 990 WBOB. Welcome to the Raising Anchor Soccer Show with Matt Hendricken and Jason Carey. Your home for news, analysis, and everything Rhode Island FC. Each week, they take you inside the locker room, inside the tactics, and inside the storyline shaping RIFC. Now, here's Matt and Jason. Here for a special edition, a special treat of the Raising Anchor Soccer Show. We once again get to sit down with some of the most important people within the Rhode Island FC community. And of course, that is the players themselves. Happy to get to introduce and talk today with none other than Leo Afonso, Rhode Island FC attacker. Leo, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
The pleasure is all mine. I look forward to these moments more than just about anything because it allows listeners to get a sneak peek behind the scenes and understand who's the human inside that jersey, you know, more than just the number, more than the statistics, who is that person on an individual level. So I want to start things off and kind of get people set on a baseline. My favorite conversation that we've had so far is actually the very first one. And I'll never forget it because a reporter came up to you and started assuming that you spoke Spanish. You then fired back that you spoke Portuguese, and then they assumed that you were from Portugal. It was very evident in that very first, let's call it meet and greet, that you had a very strong pride and connection to your Brazilian roots. So I want to ask, I know that you're born in Sao Paulo, but I also know then that you moved to Florida at a young age. Talk us through those. Was it too young? Was it too early for you to have Brazilian roots and memories and something that came later? Or did you get time down in Sao Paulo to kind of get that early Brazilian vibe?
Yeah, no, I was born and raised in Brazil in Sao Paulo. I lived there for 14 years. So it was, my roots are in Brazil, born and raised there. And then I came to the U.S. to Florida when I was 14. Right during the World Cup was happening in Brazil, so I'm still kind of upset at my dad about that. But yeah, I have a lot of pride in my upbringings and where I'm from.
So as a Brazilian then, what is it like when we talk about the football culture? Because you've seen it here in America, and it's, you know, it's a fourth tier sport. It's an adoption. There's some fanatics, but it hasn't taken a hold of the country. Maybe this World Cup cycle, we could see that. But from a Brazilian mindset, what is that cultural edge? What is that cultural difference if you had to compare it when you were growing up in Sao Paulo?
Yeah, football in Brazil is just, it's life. People have their jobs, they have everything, but football is the one thing that everyone has equal. It's like everyone likes the same amount. Everyone stops whatever they're doing when their team is playing on the weekend and they watch the game. It's our life is around football in Brazil, I would say.
Careful about saying football is life. You're going to potentially play against the Danny Rojas and El Paso Locomotive at some point in the near future. But you talk about it, it grounds you. It's your identity. As a kid, especially in Brazil, who were the greats that you idolized? Was it Brazilian nationals at that point, or was it players in the wide variety of leagues across the planet?
For me, it was Brazilian nationals. I loved watching Kaká when I was really young. Neymar is the biggest in Brazil when I was growing up. Brazilian players, I would say.
Are you even allowed to say Kaká, as he was an Orlando player and you come from Inter Miami? Is that still allowed to be said in this day and age?
I'll allow it.
You didn't run into him, right? He was already out of MLS when you entered in?
He was already out. Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, if that's being the case, we're talking the national stage, at least the national team. What about the local teams? What about the leagues within Brazil? Is there a team that you are deeply committed to in that case? And if so, who is it?
Yeah, Palmeiras, which luckily I got to play against them, the Club World Cup with Miami. So that was a pretty cool experience. Just my mom's side, my grandpa, my mom, big Palmeiras supporters. So that's what I was born into.
All right. And then talking about, you're in your youth, you're developing your skills. Clearly, there's a desire beyond this being a casual thing. Like you said, football is life. Want to talk about youth academy, youth development, at least starting in the Sao Paulo community aspect of it. how did that, like, I imagine everyone down there has insane amounts of talent. How do you differentiate yourself in academies down in Brazil, and especially like in America? And I'm sure you probably saw a little bit of this, but it was a later age. You know, kids, they all want to be the striker, they all want to be the one that scores the goals, but then the skills develop. You get to a certain height and suddenly you're a defender or a goalkeeper. How did you stay on the front foot of being an attacker through your youth journey before we even get to the collegiate or your time as a professional?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved scoring goals, and I was good at it. I played a little bit as a 10 when I was a little younger. Played on the left, played on the right side. I played kind of every single position you can think of as a forward, and I think that really helped me. Now I have that experience from back then, and I know how to play multiple positions, and I think it's something that maybe more kids should try when they're young. Explore different positions and be versatile, because you never know.
So if you coach one day, whether it's at the pro level or the youth academy level, is that the X factor we need to start talking about? Is be a little experimental and find out where your comfort zones are and where you excel?
Yeah, I mean, it only gives you more in your back pocket, if you know what I mean. It's just, if you can play on the right and then you go on the left and then you can play up top and you can play in the midfield, you're gonna play. You're just more comfortable in four different positions than just one. It just opens up your ability to get on the field and play.
So we're going to talk about your particular skill set and ability a little later here, but want to get into then the transition. You come to the United States. Now, I didn't know this. It sounds like it was at the worst time possible, in the middle of World Cup while it's in Brazil. How difficult, beyond the soccer part, was that transition, or was it pretty seamless coming to the States?
It was a little difficult. I mean, the first 3 to 6 months I didn't speak any English, but I got lucky that my school had a soccer team and I got on the team, and people were just like, "Oh, the Brazilian kid doesn't speak any English, but you can play soccer." So people immediately started asking me questions and being intrigued about who I was and where I'm from. So after those 3 to 6 months, I'd say it was an easy transition.
Does the skill set that you had and the fact that you were Brazilian put a target on you as you're trying to kind of grow your brand within the youth systems? Like, does everyone go, "Oh, we got to take the Brazilian out," or "Watch out for the Brazilian" when it came time to play?
Yeah, it was always, every time I stepped on the field, "Oh, he's Brazilian, Brazilian, Brazilian this, Brazilian that."
Did that make you feel included, or did that make you feel like, "All right, I'm going to show you what Brazil's all about"?
Nah, I was like, whatever, let's play.
Fair enough. All right, so then you spend time with Boca United, and you go then through a couple of different academy systems, it looks like, beyond that. I found out that you had time with the Philadelphia Union and, of course, Inter Miami, which we'll talk about, not just as the academy, but, of course, then Inter Miami 2 and then Inter Miami Senior. When you look at each of the stops along your way, did they all offer you different pieces of your skill set, or was it just more refining what you already had as you went along your soccer journey?
I would say it was both. For example, Philadelphia, I went to Philadelphia because there was no MLS academy near my house besides Orlando. And Philadelphia had a great program with the YSC Academy, which is a school for the players. That was always something that was important to me and my parents, was soccer and education. So Philadelphia was a good choice for me. And after spending a year there, I feel like I developed a lot of that hard work mentality, kind of more worked on my physical aspect of the game. And then coming back to Miami for the academy was a great feeling, because I was coming back home to my family. But yeah.
In terms of Inter Miami's academy, was it a net new? Like, we've talked to previous players that have been with the club where they've been a part of it as an expansion program. The senior team may have been online for a minute or two, but the academy is always that, like, you start things off and you're really designing shape and culture and what you want to see come to fruition in 3, 5, and 10 years even. Was it kind of the wild, I guess, east, not west at that time, as the academy was coming online itself?
Yeah, it was a pretty surreal feeling to be playing for a team that you knew was going to be huge in Miami. Like, even back then, we were training at a college campus, and there was no first team facilities, there was no stadium, but you just had a feeling back then that this was going to be something huge, and to be a part of that since day one is something I take a lot of pride in and very happy about.
You weren't training at Pitbull Stadium back in the day, were you?
No, we were in Broward College. It was college, yeah, far.
Because that would have been ironic, since now Miami FC and whatnot. Having talked about that, then I want to ask, Miami's the last stop for you in the academy element of your development. How important were those final instances before you then go off for the University of Virginia? And there's a little bit of go in between, right? There's a little bit of reshuffling there, but how important were those academy moments to prep you for your time at the University of Virginia?
It was a great experience. I mean, you're traveling and you're living the life of a young pro at that point. U19 level, it's pretty high competitive. It gave me the opportunity to play against people from all over the U.S. So it helped me a lot develop, I think.
As a Brazilian, knowing that you had already seen a version of the system at your time in Brazil, coming in where, as Americans, we introduce this collegiate programming instead of having just dedicated academies that get you all the way to, the moment of trial by fire, if you will. Was it an interesting conversion to watch this go from a structure that you were already familiar with into this brand new idea of college soccer?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the weirdest thing was the short season that we had in college. But for me, it was always just about playing, and I loved the sport, and anywhere I could play, I'd play. So going into college for me was no different. I went in with the same mindset as I was still in a young pro academy to doing the same thing in college. So it wasn't that bad of a transition, I would say.
What are your thoughts on the NCAA expanding it to a longer format? I think that just actually got announced a couple of weeks ago. Is that going to be good for the players in the game, or do you see adjustments that could maybe change or at least redirect the attitudes and mindsets of college players today?
Yeah, I saw that. I think the biggest issue colleges are going to face, like, for example, Virginia, we shared the stadium with the lacrosse team, which their season's in the spring. So it'll kind of be interesting to see how that dynamic is going to work. But I think it's fantastic for players that want to play the next level. If I could go back in college and we played year round, I would love that.
I mean, yeah, I think the USL2 system is probably the most at risk right now, because that was kind of the offset. Did you ever get time with the USL2 team? I know a lot of your colleagues on the squad have, they played Flint City Bucks. Did you ever get a chance at a USL2 look, or it wasn't part of your journey?
No, I didn't play USL2. I usually, every summer, I would come home from college and I would go train with Miami's second team. I was close to the coach at the time, and he was like, "Hey, Leo, you want to come train?" So it was a great way to stay fit and keep my name at the door.
No, that's incredible. So want to kind of finish off here on your time with your Virginia career, 22 goals. Is there a moment in there that stands out? I talked to Amity last week, and he reminded me that his favorite moment of his life was putting Nick Scardina in a very sad state in a championship final. Do you have a goal? Do you have a moment at your time with the University of Virginia that rises above all others?
I have two moments. I'll do one, which is mine. I think I scored. I can't remember which game it was, but I think it was my third year in college. I scored against Syracuse, and I think they were unbeaten at the time. We're ranked number 1. And we scored in the last 5 minutes. So I think that's my favorite goal in college. Then my second moment was when I played against Hamadi, and he got a red card against us.
So Hamadi tells us all the time that he reminds Nick on a constant basis. Do you ever go into the well, and if you need to check Hamadi in any way, do you just remind him of that moment?
Yeah, we talk about it a couple of times a week.
No love lost when you're on the wrong side of the competition. Well, we got to go to break, and when we return, we've got more with Leo Afonso, all here on the Raising Anchor Soccer Show. Thank you for listening to tonight's broadcast, powered by Sprout Coworking. For all your business needs, large or small, visit sproutcoworking.com. Powering 990 WBOB, that's sproutcoworking.com.
Now, let's get back to the Raising Anchor Soccer Show on 990 WBOB with Matt Entricate and Jason Carey.
All right, here with Rhode Island FC attacker Leo Afonso. Leo, we just finished talking in the first segment all the way up through your time at University of Virginia, but I want to take a step back now and kind of look back at everything you have done up until this moment. A lot of the times, people or players will tell me it's certain individuals, it's certain moments that shaped their soccer career, it shaped their personality, it shaped their mentality. If you had to give homage to, the three most important people that helped you along to be the player you are today, who are we giving flowers to? Oh, and by the way, your mother and father, when I met them, told me that if you don't answer them, they're going to have strong words with you. So be careful here.
I was going there. My parents, my dad always helped me train, taught me a lot of things. So my dad for sure, number one. I think my coach when I was at Miami Academy, Darren Powell, I think he's at Nashville now. He was very high on how I played and always helped me and looked to give me advice. And and then I think my coach at UVA also, he was George Gilnovac, was a big influential on my career growth.
If you had to quote them, what's the most profound thing you remember them telling you? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, making me think hard. I can't remember exactly one thing they said, but they always told me to keep working hard, keep my head down, and everything else will happen.
Fair enough. Want to then get into a little bit more about your leadership. So something that I don't think fans necessarily know is that at that time at the University of Virginia, you were both a captain and leader for the program. We're going to talk at length about Inter Miami and now here at Rhode Island in your first year. Do the qualities of being a leader, do they go away when you aren't wearing the armband? And if not, and I think they don't, but want to hear it from you. How do you make sure that in those moments you do step up as a leader when you're supposed to, and then when there's another captain on the bench or on the squad on the field, how do you make sure that you differentiate so that that person can be a leader in their own way?
Yeah, I think there's different types of leaders in every aspect of life. I'm more of a, you're not going to see me talking too much, but I'll show it with my actions. I'm kind of like, look, this is how you do it. So sometimes you'll see in games, I'm not talking much, I'm not yelling much, but I'm doing everything I can. My head's down and I'm working hard. So I think that's my best leadership skill. And I also think sometimes captains and people, they see one thing and someone else sees something a different way. So if you always have open floor to put your input in things, and sometimes if our captain misses something, then I'll tune in and say something.
I love that. Want to now talk, you're through college, it's the MLS Super Draft, and this is probably the most common question I ask every player that's gone through it, is that some players will say that they didn't know where they were going, they didn't know if they were going anywhere, and others have told me that coaches are having conversations, agents are setting things up behind the scenes, and maybe the draft pick number is not what they thought, but it's the intended result at the end. Want to walk through your super draft? You returned to Inter Miami. What was that like? Was it expected? Because you just said a second ago you already had such a great standing relationship during the summers with the Inter Miami Academy system. Was it kind of a known variant that you were going to be going back to Inter Miami?
To be honest, no, I had no idea. My senior year in college, I got hurt. I had a high ankle sprain, so I was out for, I think I played 5 games that season, which is the most important season if you want to get drafted. So I didn't have any expectations going into the draft. And after the round 1 finish, I remember turning my TV off at home, and I was like, I'm not watching this anymore. I can't. And I go up and I'm taking a shower, and my mom comes banging on my room door, and she's like, Leo, Miami picked you. And yeah, after that, it was just crazy, just a dream.
Want to talk about the injury for a second. I know that you missed a lot of the season, and when you know that that's something that could have potentially set you back, but you have to get back into it, what does the mental reset look like in those critical moments? Because I feel like it can be incredibly disparaging and devastating. And on the other hand, it can be like, hey, I want to prove to myself that I can rise above this. How do you go through that, especially when there's that much at stake?
Well, it was pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like I thought I was like this is done. I'm not gonna get picked on the draft. Like everything I did this past 3 years is gone. But I got lucky when I came back, and I played a few good games and scored, and everything ended up working out. But I think just when the pressure is on, that's when you really know yourself. So I think that's the biggest thing I live by.
When you're injured and you're in rehab, do you constantly relive that moment where the injury happened? Or do you try not to think about it and just focus on getting healthy, getting back to 100%? Like for me, I feel like that's that moment where I'd be like, all right, if I hadn't done this, or if I had just positioned myself in a different way, maybe things would have been different. Do you live in that moment for an extended period of time?
Yeah, so I had to wear a cast, I think, for about a month. I was on crutches for 2 weeks, and I think those 2 weeks on crutches, I was rewatching the play, and I was like, "Oh, come on, don't do it. What are you doing?" But then once I got off the crutches, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Just constantly looking. It's like an out of body experience almost at that point. All right, then let's get into Inter Miami, specifically starting here with Inter Miami 2. Want to ask, how good did it feel that Inter Miami first selected you, and then knowing that you kind of already have a leg up where at least you know some of the technical staff, some of the administration? Did it feel like this was the only place you could have landed because of all of the relationships you had already built earlier in your career?
Yeah, so when I got there, it was I think 3-4 months after Messi, or no, Messi got there in June. It was after Messi got there, so they changed the whole staff, and I didn't know anyone at the club. So that's why I was a little surprised.
Wait, I thought they only changed like the senior technical coaching staff. Are you like they cleaned house all the way down to the academy?
I'm not sure about the academy, but the second team staff was different than when I was there. Fede Higuain was the coach when I got there, and I think he might have been there one summer when I went to train. I can't really remember. But yeah, they changed a lot of people.
So that doesn't give you any leg up. It sounds like it resets it for everybody. I'll switch the question around then. How do you differentiate yourself in an early marking? I know, in your early time with 2, you scored 4 goals in your first, I think it was 2 matches.
Yeah.
Did that just kind of give you the catapult to? I know there's a couple of things we'll talk about around like these temporary loans that you had assigned to you, but did that just give you the ammunition to propel yourself amongst the top ranks within Inter Miami 2 at the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of the same mindset of my last 3 games in college, that I was like, I have to score if I want to get drafted. So I went into preseason, and I was like, I'm gonna do my best and see what happens. Didn't expect much from it. Went in with the goal, and yeah, I got lucky, some will say, that I scored a lot of goals in the beginning, and yeah.
When does a player in the 2 system or the reserve side, when do you feel comfortable enough to say that you belong? Is it only until you get that senior contract because you're fighting for every goal, every minute, every look to eventually advance? Or is there a moment where you can still feel comfortable enough to say, like, I belong here now on this team?
I'm not sure. For me, my goal is always to be on the first team and to get playing time and to be regular playing time. So when I was in the 2s, this is just a warm up for when I get to the senior team.
A speed bump along the way. Want to talk about the senior team and specifically your debut. Top 3 moment in your life? How was it? Could you walk us through the experience of being able to play for Inter Miami first team?
Yeah, so I remember when I made my debut, it was we played Rebels away, and I remember the game was like, I think on a Saturday. They told me Thursday, "Oh, you're traveling with the senior team." We had some guys on international duty, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like I'll be on the bench. Like this is super cool." And they're like, "Oh, and Sunday, like you play with the second team there too," because they were in Jersey as well. And we went to the game, and I remember, I think it was 70 minutes in, Tata calls me over, and he's like, "Leo, you're going in." And I was like, "Oh, I trained with these guys for like 2 days." I was like, "Okay, let's see." And I went in and I played a good game. And then after that, it was just everything happened really fast.
If you have to go back to that moment, especially away, because players have told me the debut away is different from a debut at home. Like your first is always your first. What was that sight? What was that smell? What was that one thing that stood out amongst all of the different things going on as you find out that you're going to take the pitch?
I think you just think back to everything you've done, and it gives you confidence to step in the field. And once I stepped in, you kind of forget everything else that's going on, and it's just a game. You're just playing 11 versus 11, and you're running around, and it's all that matters at that moment.
All right. Well, we're going to talk more Inter Miami FC, the rest of your MLS time so far, and of course, everything Rhode Island FC when we get back. But we've got to go to break here on the Raising Anchor Soccer Show. Fans, as the weather becomes more and more unpredictable, be sure to check out 990 WBOB's weather page for all your temperature, storm, and travel info. Stay prepared for whatever Mother Nature has in store with the 990 WBOB weather page.
Now, let's get back to the Raising Anchor Soccer Show on 990 WBOB with Matt Entrican and Jason Carey.
Here with Rhode Island FC attacker Leo Afonso as we are going through his soccer journey, his soccer life. And the last segment we pick up from his time at Inter Miami. Leo, I want to make this show about you, but I would be doing a disservice to fans across the world if we didn't bring up a certain player, maybe a certain set of players at your time down in Inter Miami. Want to ask you, first question, there's these signings that happen. How do you go from coming from Inter Miami 2 to now signing and playing in the first team where there are all these legends that show up like Lionel Messi, Busquets, Alba, Suarez? How do you go from that surreal moment and now you're playing on the pitch alongside these individuals?
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone that says that it's not intimidating in the beginning, they would be lying. In the beginning, I was a little intimidated, but they're really good guys, and they just, Busquets, Jordi, they took me under their wing a little bit and just show me that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to try your things and give you tips here and there. And watching these guys train every day, you just see firsthand how good they are and how high their level is. So you learn a lot.
Does their soccer IQ, do their abilities and skills, does it transfer pretty seamlessly? Like, would you say arguably that you became a much better player by playing with them, or were they at a place that it's almost like there's a distance between the skill sets? And I'm not insulting you or anyone, but obviously players are at one level or another. Do you quickly elevate your own game to players like that, or is it just like, okay, whatever I can learn from you in the time I get to be around you, that's all it's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, being around those guys, that elevates you 100% just because you see how well they're doing things and you're like, okay, I have to do it, try to do it as well as they are. Or when you know exactly where Messi's going to put the ball, when he gets it in this spot of the field, you're like, I'm going to run here because I know he's going to put it there. Or Jordi, he's crossing the ball, he likes to cross it back, so you're like, I'm going to position myself here because I know he's going to play that ball. So I think the biggest thing playing with them that I learned was just being one step ahead of everyone else. Yeah.
Has it made your life significantly more difficult when you don't have the level of service or the defenders behind you so that you can be a little braver, you can take on more risk? Has it changed the way you've played your game? Because once you've played with that level, like, you get a taste for it, right? Like, yeah. Obviously Atlanta, Rhode Island FC, no disrespect again, but they're not going to offer necessarily the same level of skill. Is it almost like you've seen the best and you might not ever get to see that again in terms of teammates?
Yeah, I mean, when you're speaking about arguably one of the best in history, so when you have Messi playing you through balls or Jordi Alba playing you through balls, it's definitely a lot higher level than other teammates. No disrespect to any teammate.
Of course. I think Clay Holstead will agree. He's no Busquets, but we can ask him. I do want to ask one final question though about Messi alongside you. We made the joke when you first got announced that we were getting a Leo from Inter Miami. There's two Leos on this team. What was the name differentiation during practices or even on the pitch? Were you both just allowed to be Leo, or how did it work out?
This is actually funny. So there was 3 Leos when we were at Miami.
Oh, Campana.
Leo Campana,
yeah,
Leo Messi, and me. And then it was Leo, it was Messi. Campana, they called him Campana, and me was Afonso. Afonso. But it was funny because they would say Leo, and then all 3 of us would look at each other like, who is it?
Oh, I love that. Want to end things in Miami before you get traded on to Atlanta. Is there a key moment that's just, you know, is the core memory you'll have? Maybe it's something on the pitch, maybe it's something off the pitch. I feel like it's going to be that incredible goal you scored, but I want to ask and let you do the talking here. What is that key moment for you at your time with Inter Miami?
I would say that Philly goal against Philadelphia. It was just 2 men down. I don't know, 10 minutes left. It was just crazy stuff.
I think that was a top 10 Sports Center moment for. I want to say it was almost a contender for year of the top year moment as well. That was an incredible goal. How did you feel after that game, knowing what you accomplished on the night?
It was pretty crazy because the game ended and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, we won. And then talking to people on the field, and then I go into the locker room, I call my parents, I call my girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, I just scored. And they're like, yeah, we know, it's all over the internet. I'm like, oh, I haven't even checked. I'm not a big Instagram guy or Twitter. I'm like, whatever.
So you're on this high, you're doing all the things you're supposed to do as a left winger, an inverted winger, and then you get the call and you find out you're getting traded to Atlanta United. How devastating was it to know that you were working hard for this level of success? You're being integrated in this team. Miami's doing well at the time, and you find out that your services are being sent to Atlanta. What's the honest emotional reaction as a human being that you have to go through knowing that your time in Florida is over?
For me, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was more sad that I was leaving home. I actually asked for the trade because I wanted to play more. I wasn't getting a lot of minutes, so I asked for the trade to Atlanta, and I knew the GM over there, Chris Henderson, because he was at Miami before. So it was sad leaving and wishing things could have been different, but I was happy to try a new adventure and see what else was out there for me.
What did your experience and your time with Atlanta give to you? Obviously, not as many probably touches that I think you would have wanted, especially coming off of some of the success that you saw with Inter. Did you get what you wanted to out of that journey in that time, or what were those lasting impressions with Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little quick. I was there for, I think, only 3 months of the season. Did not get what I expected, but that's life. You never get everything you want and hope for. So, yeah.
Do you equivalent that as the resiliency similar to an injury or a setback of that kind? Obviously, those are moments that are unpredictable. How do you walk through that when you're trying to, put your brand out there, develop yourself? How do you adjust to those kinds of circumstances?
You just have to keep going on about life and just do your best every day, and whatever happens. You can't really control it. You can control the work you put in every day. You can control how you react to things. So yeah, I think just moving on and keep doing what you're doing, and things will work out.
We'll talk about Rhode Island here in a second, but looking at this moment, you're in MLS. Do you still think about where that ceiling is for you? Obviously, we're going to talk about now in championship play, but you've played amongst the best. You've been one of the best in that group. When you look at the ceiling for yourself and you specifically focus on MLS for a second, is there more in that? And is there more in that story that you want to go after? Is there more to be said about your time and your impact that you left in Major League Soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I think things are not finished with MLS. I think my biggest goal coming here was to be in a team that has a clear identity, a team that has a good setup, that wants to win, has a great fan base. The coaches have a vision. Everyone here has a vision and aspire for more. So I think coming here was a good move for my career, and we'll see what else happens.
All right, well, we're going to go to our final break, and when we return, we're going to talk all things Rhode Island FC. Don't go anywhere. It's the Raising Anchor Soccer Show.
Now, let's get back to the Raising Anchor Soccer Show on 990 WBOB with Matt Entrican and Jason Carey.
All right, here with Rhode Island FC attacker Leo Afonso, and we're getting to the most important part where the listeners want to know, and that's everything about you joining the Amber and Blue. So I want to ask, we learned in the last segment that you had initiated the transfer to Atlanta. How did you get connected with Rhode Island FC as a club, and what's the origin story that got you here playing in the Ocean State?
Let's see. So my agent is friends with Kano. He knows Kano well, and I actually met Kano at the MLS Cup final. I was there for that game, and Kano was there too. So I spoke to him for a little bit briefly, and he expressed his interest. And yeah, things from there just took a good path. And I liked the vision that he had, that the team had, the club had. So here I am.
I want to talk a little bit about the vision and the opportunity. You know, when you get to Rhode Island, and I know that the first moments that we met, it was training in that offsite indoor facility. It wasn't necessarily yet in Centerville Bank Stadium, especially in front of fans. But what were those initial impressions and opportunities that kind of exposed themselves to you as you started to really digest Rhode Island FC after you had signed with us?
Yeah, I mean, I already knew all about the setup. I knew the stadium, the fans. It was an environment I wanted to be in, an environment I felt like I could grow, apply a lot of things that I learned over my 2 years in MLS. But yeah, the snow I was not prepared for, and the climate change.
It doesn't snow in Sao Paulo?
No, in Florida, neither.
You know, you talk about the environment, you talk about the conditions. Rhode Island FC is considered one of the crown jewels in the league right now, both because it's a newer team, but also there's just a really strong implementation and investment around facilities, amenities, culture, everything. You've now played enough games across the league that you've seen other teams. If Rhode Island hadn't been a destination for you, could you have seen yourself going to one of these other organizations that, you know, like we can talk about Hearts of Pine, no disrespect, but they play on a track field, and I think you guys were changing in cargo containers on that weekend. So, like, when you look at what that is for Rhode Island, how critical is it for a player of your caliber to see those amenities, to see that investment in the resourcing of player development, and is it just a must for you?
For me, yes. I mean, I like to be in the gym. I take recovery serious. There's a lot of things that needs to be at a high level for you to perform at a high level. So having those resources, it's something I don't really negotiate on. If the team doesn't have a good setup, then I can't perform my best, and that's not in my best interest.
Speaking of your best, when I first met you, I asked you if you had had an early identity. I think you were week 2 into your time with Rhode Island. I had seen, like, hey, you know, are you going to be someone that is implemented on the left wing? At the time, we didn't know who our right winger solution would be. And you said, you know, I'll play wherever coach wants me to play, but I prefer the left. I know that rings true, but did Kano give you that sense of knowing where you would be in this organization from the get-go, or was that something you had to earn? Because I have a theory that between you and Aldair, you forced Jojea to have to go out right, because it was something he had not done primarily up until this third season with the club. So did you prove your case that you were the one that was going to be on the left side, or was there ever a moment where you could have been playing the opposite side, similar to kind of what Jojea has now on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I think I came in a preseason. I was working in the off season, working hard, and I came in fit. And I think I showed something that he liked, and yeah, that's where he put me. And like I said, I'll play anywhere the team needs me to.
I mean, Clay can be our backup goalkeeper. Maybe you might have something in the cards to do it as well. How good are you with your hands?
I would need a Peter Check helmet to protect my head now, but
especially right now. Listen, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I mean, people are going to watch this and they're going to be like, what happened?
Yeah, you have to.
Do you want to go into details, or do you want to leave it mysterious as to the battle wound that you have currently on screen right now as we're recording this?
It happened at work incident.
Well, I guess it's a good thing the USLPA renegotiated their health insurance contract. It couldn't have come at a better time. So want to get into the conversations about the workplace. Want to first ask the locker room, the environment right now. We know we've had conversations that you've got a friendship, an existing friendship with Frank Nodarce. Want to ask, how have you gelled with the rest of the team? Who have been the go-to guys that have taken you under their wing, or maybe you've taken them under your wing as you've come in and integrated with this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably one of the best locker rooms in terms of the vibes and how everyone is. I think everyone bonds really well together. But a couple of guys that I came in, and I think Frank for sure, because I already know him. Jacob, trying to think who else. Hamadi, I'm always joking around with them. Our head kit manager is Nick from Brazil, so I'm always messing around with them too. And yeah, everyone in the locker room is good vibes and good people.
We have a lot of different cultures and ethnicities as a melting pot, specifically in Pawtucket, but around the greater Rhode Island area. Have you found places that can remind you of home? We could say Florida, or we could say Brazil. I know of a few places to grab a bite that are Brazilian, but have you found niches to carve out so that even when it is, 10 degrees and freezing or snowing, you can find a little piece of home when you need it?
Yeah, my parents always send me a little sweet treat for here and then from Brazil, so I have that. There's a Portuguese restaurant I went to. I can't remember the name, but that's a place I really like. But yeah.
That's fair. Are there things now, as the weather's getting warmer, we're now into the heat, are there things that you're excited to get to do on the off days, whether it's sights, bites, experiences? Is there anything you're looking forward to more as you don't have to deal with the cold for at least the next 4-ish months?
Yeah, I went to the beach last week with my girlfriend and my dog, and I almost got third-degree burns. So that's how I know. That's how I know I need more sun.
Trauma, sunburns. Leo, we got to take care of you. We need you for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Want to talk about your performance on the pitch, your contribution to this team. You've had some of the highest shots this year across the league. Not always necessarily converting to goals, but the attack is building up in ways that fans of this club have not seen ever, right? We've been historically somewhat stingy sometimes on our goal production, and yet we see something more from this attack that's been an exciting promise. It hasn't always led to multiple scored goals, and we've had a couple of 0-0s across the time, but as a player like yourself that has this high shot status, what's the missing click? What's the missing thing that you need to start converting more goals on the season? Is it an individual moment? Is it just more time playing with the team? What is it that's going to separate you from being a single goal contributor to a double-digit goal contributor by the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things are going to play when you look at soccer as a whole. Scoring goals is the hardest part of it. I think in the beginning of the season, I had a lot of chances, but they were kind of half chances. I wouldn't say I missed many sitters. So I think just having better quality service, and that's something that we've been getting better at every game. Being a little more patient and taking better shots instead of forcing the shot is something I've been working on in the past few games. But yeah, I think the best is yet to come, and I'm not worried about my goal scoring for now.
I don't think anybody is. We just want to see more and more of it. Rhode Island is a greedy community, and they just want to see 5 goals a game. That's not too hard to make happen, right? In terms of your time here with Rhode Island, a player like you, I think fans are always a bit suspicious that, hey, you come from a level of quality and talent. You're clearly playing in a different level of soccer now. How long do we have a player like Leo Afonso? And so it almost feels selfish to ask, but what is the thing you want the most out of this time with Rhode Island, whether it be 1 season, 2 seasons, or we have you for the rest of your life and then we build the statue and you hang up the boots?
I mean, like I said, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. I'm just focused on every week, every weekend, week out, focus on scoring goals and winning games and doing the best I can for the team and the community.
Are there any personal goals that you can share for the season that you want to accomplish? It doesn't necessarily have to be a stat line goal. Is there just something that you've made a promise to yourself that you want to see come true by the end of the season?
Yeah, I think just keep enjoying everything I'm doing today. I get to play a sport for a living, so I'm blessed. So I think just take every day by day and just enjoy it. Not think about the future and not think about other things going on in life.
And speaking of enjoying things, I would be remiss if we didn't bring up the World Cup, especially as a Brazilian. How important is it for you to feel connected in this cup? You already talked about missing some of it when it was in Brazil. how important is it for you to experience it here in the United States where you now live?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great for the country. I think it's going to bring a lot more awareness to the sport. And I think if we have a game on a day that Brazil plays, maybe I have a headache.
You're going to pull a Neymar?
Maybe I'll have a headache. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it's very excited to watch and happy that Neymar is on the squad.
People are going to remember this now. And should you not be fit to play in a match, you've sealed the deal, my friend. Is there anything specific that you're going to try to do with this World Cup cycle? I know that there's one away game that's going to take you, I think, down to Virginia. It's Loudon. And then there's only one other game at home against Orange County around the 4th of July. How much, am I going to see you at the breweries? Am I going to see you at the fan zone? Or are you going to be trying to go to some of these stadiums? I think Brazil plays in Philly. What is your World Cup experience going to look like personally for Leo Afonso?
I would love to go to Philly to watch Brazil play, but I think that'll be a hard trip to make, considering they were mid-season. But yeah, I'm definitely going to try to find a watch party or something that I can go to and experience the atmosphere with other people. And yeah.
What are Brazil's chances in winning the whole thing this year? They've been, I think, a top 5 from what I've heard, but they haven't necessarily been picked as the number 1 or 2 seed to take it all. I obviously you're going to be biased and say they're going to get it, but what's the realistic chances from your football knowledge, since you're a player that knows ball?
Realistic chances, I think we'll have to see how the outside backs do. I know that's a big criticism for Brazil right now. It's the outside back positioning. But again, I think soccer is a sport that anything can happen any day. So we'll see.
And then my favorite question of all time, especially for a player of your caliber, is looking at what the World Cup, looking at what your professional career has been. What is that emotional feeling you still get today when you come between the two, right? It's a job for you at one part, but you've got to find the joy in it. And then you get to see it at the highest stage. How do you sum all of that up in an emotional description?
I think for me, it makes summer better. It makes days better. You wake up and you have teams playing, nations playing, and just knowing the joy it brings to the community. I think it's something really powerful.
Well, we shall see how Brazil does in the World Cup, and we should also be watching your career to see how you do with Rhode Island FC. We expect you to get 20 goals by the end of the season, Leo. We want it, we need it, and we can't wait to see it happen before the end of the season in October. Leo, any final thoughts, any final words before we let you go?
No, all good. I appreciate you having me on the podcast again, and happy I get to do this and show a little bit of myself off the field. So thank you.
Thank you, and we cannot wait to catch up with you soon. Leo Afonso, Rhode Island FC attacker, everyone.
You've been listening to the Raising Anchor Soccer Show. You can follow the show on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at RIFC Podcast and at Raising Anchor on Instagram. And be sure to check out and subscribe to Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you listen by searching for Raising Anchor. Make sure to check out all of our coverage over at the Blazing Musket for all your New England soccer coverage, including RAFC news at theblazingmusket.com. Fans, we thank you for listening. We ask you to be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the show. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm your main man, Juju, and on behalf of the Raising Anchor crew, goodbye for now. And as always, we are Rhode Island FC.